Hey guys, welcome back to another video on the Inside Spurs channel. Happy Friday afternoon. I hope you're okay. I hope you're having a belter of a day and you look forward to a really good solid weekend. There's a lot of good football on this weekend. It does for once feel like football's back. I know last time it was a little bit, but we had some of the drags and things like that. This feels like football's back. It's ready to rock and roll, you know? Obviously, I assume there's probably an international break coming up quite soon, which will ruin it all, because we all, love international breaks. But more importantly, we're going to talk about Brighton tomorrow. We do have an update on Pierre Højbjerg's status into the summer, as well as Roony, Bardghji as well from Copenhagen. So plenty to talk about. Got some match news, got some transfers, quite a lot. I just want to say, if you're new, subscribe. Very much welcome to join us for the journey. Well on our way to 1,900 subs, which is quite cool. And let's talk about Brighton tomorrow, because we obviously played them not long ago. We played them not long ago, but this game will feel different. Now, the reason why this game will feel different is purely the fact that both teams have actually players back from injuries and international duties and things like that, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about the team news going into the game, as well as really some predictions, because Spurs are looking a lot healthier. We're looking a little bit more like Spurs of where we were probably before November, and it feels quite weird to actually talk about that. And let's talk about this game. So Spurs versus Brighton. So obviously played. We didn't play long ago actually. It was back in, I think it was December or something. I believe. I'll bring it up in a second. But Spurs sitting 5th in the league on 44 points. Brighton sitting 8th in the league, 35 points. Both playing the same amount of games, so 9 points in it. You could probably say you beat Brighton, that's them done in terms of a top 5 race. Okay, that's how quite big this game is, because you look behind us, you've got United in 6th and West Ham in 7th, both on 38-36. So you can start to really squeeze some guys out of this race. I mean, Newcastle 11 points behind. You can maybe say they're out of the race. you'd have to have you wouldn't be out of the race, but you know what I mean? The race becomes so difficult for you to actually get back into. So there's really that, when we look at the last game they played, it was a 4-2 win for Brighton at home on December 28th. So it wasn't long ago now, 6 weeks ago. It was a game that Spurs had obviously four fullbacks playing in defence. I mean, you look into the midfield, you didn't really have the midfield that you would normally want as well. And when you look at the bench, there wasn't really anything on the bench as well. You had Lascelles, so you had Brian Hill, but you had Dorrington, Donnelly, Santiago, Phillips, Forster, Dyer, and Belize. There's not a lot of firepower in there, Obviously, Brighton had their own injuries, but again, I think Brighton's, I call it the spine of the team. Your keeper, your 2 centre-halves, your midfielders, and your attackers, they were fairly healthy, all things considered. You had Steele in goal, Van Hecke, Dunk, Gilmore, Gross, Pedro, Welbeck. They're all near enough starters week in, week out. So they had a bit of an easy time in that regard, but obviously they still missed players, and so did we. We didn't take our chances. I mean, when you look at the stats, you would think that we should have done better. I mean, we lost 4-2, but we had more shots, we had more possession. We had pretty much the same amount of corners. Ridiculous, really, when you think about it. But moving into this game, I reached out to a friend who does support Brighton. He did kind of give me their team news. I'd rather someone else tell me, to be honest, who actually follows the club week in, week out than a webpage. And he said that Mitoma, Cisco and Veltman back in training, but he doubts 2 of them will be playing in Cisco and Veltman. Mitoma is back from the Asian Cup, kind of like Sonny as well. Ansu Fati played 10 minutes against Palace, so you probably see he might be on the bench again, but he could feature. And he said he doesn't know what keeper they'll play because they seem to rotate all the time. He did kind of give me the best part of both teams. He said Verbruggen is a better shot stopper, whereas Steele is better with his feet. And it's harder to predict their team because they do have quite easy interchanging parts. Look, they're going to play some good football. We're going to play some good football. It's going to be goals galore. It's not going to be a game where you're going to be bored 0-0. I think that's probably safe to say. Both teams like conceding. Both teams like scoring. So if you're going to put bets on, don't put a bet on a clean sheet. I just wouldn't be doing it, to be honest. When you look into Spurs and their sort of issue. Well, I say issues, maybe easing of issues. Tom Bardghji said that Giovanni Celso has been training all week and hopes to be back in the Spurs squad ahead of this weekend's game. And Andrew's been talking literally just now. That's why I'm recording it straight after this. I'm not one of those that likes to do a preview before Ange talks because you're kind of making things up, to be honest. So if you see people doing that, don't bother them. Dan Kilpatrick, from what Ange said that Son and Bissouma are both ready to start against Brighton. Obviously, Bissouma played for Brighton before he joined Spurs, so that will be something that he'll definitely be wanting to play. In terms of the game, look, this is a game that you win. You just keep stretching that distance. And I think, people talk about the Man City juggernaut, De Bruyne is back, Haaland's back, they seem to be getting fitter. There's options off the bench, Bob's become a decent player as well for him. So they've got many more options off the bench as well as into the first team. That juggernaut spot is about to kick off. I'm not going to call it a juggernaut. I'm just going to say what we had pre-November, we'll start to see that soon. I don't think you'll see it as much this weekend, but I think soon you'll start to see what that team look like more and more as the week goes on. You think Madders is going to be getting fitter and fitter and fitter. He's not just there yet, but he's getting there. I think Bentancur as well, getting fitter and fitter. He's not there just yet. Sarr, he's obviously just come back from international duty. He probably needed a week to kind of get up to speed. He's had that, so hopefully we start to see a bit more of what Sarr's all about. Kulusevski's not long over the illness. Hopefully he'll be back up to speed as well. Timo's had an extra, few weeks to keep developing into this system. You've got Richarlison scoring goals. You've got the two centre-halves that missed a lot of time. They're getting fitter and fitter and fitter. You've got Bissouma that's come back. Obviously, he contracted malaria when he was on international duty, but he's back now and he looks pretty okay and pretty fit. You're starting to see a squad finally that we haven't had for a little while. I think, let me try and predict you the team. I think keeper will be Vicario. Shock. Desti Udogie and Poirot will be fullbacks. Shock. I think Mickey and Kuti will be your centre-halves as well. When you look into the midfield, I would say, Madders will start. I think he'll go Pape Meta Sarr, and he'll either go Bissouma or Bentancur as the 6. I think Sarr's really important with his energy. That I think he'll go either Bissouma or Bentancur as the 6. Again, it wouldn't be a bad thing if one plays for 60 minutes, another one plays for 30 minutes, keeping them sort of chugging along to getting completely match fit and ready to go again. I think your attacking areas, look, if he says Son's ready to start, I'm going to predict Son's going to start. He's the captain after all. And he probably wants to play after what's happened on international duty. He's probably wanting to get back, winning as well. Up front, Richarlison, I think probably Kulusevski will play right wing. So, let me just repeat. Vicario in goal, Destiny and Porro fullbacks, Mickey and Kuti at centre-half, Bentancur and Bissouma as the 6, with Pape Sarr and Madders being 8 and 10. And your front three from left to right will be Sonny, it'll be Richie, and it'll be Kulu. That feels like a team again. That does. And then you look on the bench, you've got Lo Celso who can come on. Bissouma or Bentancur, whichever one doesn't start. You have the Højbjerg if you want to sort of sit back a bit more. You've got a Johnson, you've got a Werner, you've got a Brian Hill, you've got a Dragusin, you got Emerson, you got Davies, I think is back now. Look at the options there. That feels thereabouts. So I'm going to predict. Do you know what? I'll go 4-2 Spurs. We'll counteract what we lost by, and we'll win it that way. Let me go with that. That's a bit more fun. In terms of, by the way, other injury issues, Solomon had a procedure, so we won't be seeing him for a little while, but we'll wait and see when he's back. And Sesh is a little bit closer to being back, but again, still dealing with a couple of issues. Let's talk some transfers. Let me start with Pierre Højbjerg. And Team Talk said that Ange Postecoglou will sell Pierre-Emile Højbjerg this summer. It has been claimed. I don't think it's shocking. I think what you're seeing now at Spurs, with everyone that's back, Skip's in there as well, Højbjerg, Lo Celso, you have backups to the starters, as well as a Bissouma or Bentancur. So when you're looking at it, you're probably looking at Højbjerg going at best between the 8 and 6, you're number 2 in that list. Maybe even number 3, depending on how we might need a bit more energy from the 8 role for Skippy. Obviously, Lo Celso's a 10, so we're not really counteracting him into it. You sell him, he's gonna be 28, 29, you move him on, because the most money you're going to get now is from it this summer from him now. You bring in, maybe if it's just saying, look, Bergvall's going to be his out-and-out replacement, and then we're going to buy someone new. Maybe that's how you go about it. Cost-effective wise, it works out absolutely fine. And actually, if you sell Højbjerg 15 million, you're making profit on him because of the fact that you paid off a lot of his. You've probably paid off his deal anyway, because he's been at Spurs for a while now. And when you bought him for, I think it was like 15 million. So yeah, I think Højbjerg, and he'll have a market. Last year of his contract, have a market from Italy. He'll have a market probably from England as well. Hell, it wouldn't surprise me if Spain or Germany are in there. Even twice, even France. All of them will have an interest in him, you know. Good, dependable player, doesn't get injured, you know. And then, yeah, last one on Roony. It came from Ekrem Kanoy, who said that Tottenham plan to check the condition of Roony Bardghji, the 18-year-old winger from Copenhagen. Chelsea, Man United, Arsenal and Real Madrid have been linked with the player. Look, talented, exciting player. I'd be interested to see if we did get him, would he be integrated into the first team squad or would be sent out on loan, maybe? He's played more in European football than Spurs in the last sort of few months at least, so maybe he'll be ready. But I wonder if that would negate Spurs maybe keeping a Werner or even buying, you know, a Rafinha or a Neto, you know. Maybe they then go, well, we've got that, we're going to have a look at striker. Maybe that's where they go. And I do have an update on a striker coming out later on today. But anyway, guys, that's the end of this video. I hope you did enjoy it. Drop a like on the video if you did. Hit me in the comments section your thoughts, feelings about the game tomorrow, your scoreline, goal scorers, all that jazz, as well as obviously Højbjerg and Roony. I want to know your thoughts, feelings about both of those lads as well. Subscribe if you're new and hit the bell notification for more. But anyway, guys, that's the end of the video. I'll see you all very, very soon. Take care, guys.